Chapter 2. Taming the Tiger. Common anger questions answered. Understanding anger. Anger is a challenging emotion to navigate. You may have experienced the pain and turmoil it can bring. Its harmful effects seep into various aspects of life, often putting relationships at risk. It can even pose serious health dangers, potentially leading to conditions like heart attacks. Living a life steeped in anger is far from enjoyable. You might feel like you have little control over how you react when you're upset. It's commendable that you're reflecting on how anger impacts your life after reading this book. It's a significant step toward a happier and more fulfilling existence. It's perfectly natural for anyone, regardless of age, education, or income level, to react aggressively when emotions run high. The aim of this chapter is to address some fundamental questions regarding anger and provide a solid foundation for you to build upon. Your goal is to improve your responses to anger, and we're here to help you explore the various facets of frustration. You may find yourself questioning whether your anger is constructive or counterproductive. Anger can be tough to grasp. You might have felt both relief and regret after expressing it. Many people remember instances when their anger seemed warranted. Perhaps you believe you have every right to be furious about someone's actions. However, if you're honest, you'll recognize times when your anger was misplaced, when it lasted too long, caused unnecessary trouble, or simply made little sense. Even when you felt justified, there may have been moments that led to arguments, headaches, regrets, or poor choices. Rage often arises in relationships. Like any emotion, it's a part of our human experience. Yet anger isn't solely negative. It can serve as a useful signal that something in a relationship isn't right. Expressing anger can enhance understanding and prompt others to listen closely. It might even push you to resolve issues you've been avoiding and inspire positive changes in your life. We certainly don't wish to create a world without any anger. This book is not about eradicating anger from our lives. However, unbridled anger can lead to considerable pain and loss. It has the potential to damage relationships with family, friends, and colleagues. Angry individuals often make poor decisions, and persistent anger can contribute to serious health issues, such as heart disease and stroke. There are many reasons to keep your anger in check, and we'll delve deeper into those as you continue reading. Common questions about anger. What triggers my anger? People in my life are treating me poorly. What can I do about it? What is anger exactly? Anger is a complex emotion that involves internal arousal, accompanied by thoughts, feelings, and desires. Let's break down some of these components. Self-talk. This refers to the internal dialogue we all engage in, often filled with harsh criticisms of ourselves. It's normal to have this ongoing conversation in our heads. You might find yourself thinking, how could they do that to me? Or expressing feelings of resentment like, I can't stand this anymore. For example, a frustrated parent might reflect, oh, I just can't handle these kids. They don't listen. A businesswoman might think, I'm tired of not being appreciated for my contributions. I'm done fixing everyone's mistakes. Angry self-talk typically includes statements that convey frustration. I'm furious about this situation, or this is all my boss's fault. These negative thoughts can amplify feelings of anger, leaving individuals feeling justified in their emotions. In social situations, an angry person may articulate these feelings out loud, especially when confronting someone close, like a child. However, others may hold back, particularly in professional settings, fearing the repercussions of being too blunt with their thoughts. A student may not express his anger about a teacher for fear of getting a poor grade. In these situations, the angry person is more likely to vent his or her frustrations indirectly, such as by gossiping with others, rather than directly dealing with the issue. Images. People sometimes remember an incident that made them angry. You might hear your teen swear in a fight with his brother, then see him go out to hang out with his friends. You may be able to catch your wife or girlfriend flirting with someone else. These images may appear throughout the day as you focus on the problem or discuss it with a friend. They are most vivid when you're alone and you're about to fall asleep. You may have dreams about how you'll avenge yourself. You can imagine yelling at your neighbour, winning a fight with your spouse or in-laws, shoving others or stealing from your boss. The photos have the potential to fuel offensive activity, sensations of the body. When you're upset, you may experience sensations like a knot in your stomach, tight shoulders, and headaches. You might not notice any physical signs until later, or you might notice your own clenched fist or pursed lips when you're upset. Rage is an exhilarating emotion. You can feel the energy in your body being used to take action. Expression patterns. Determine if you're more of an innie or an outie when it comes to expressing your anger. If you want to boil on the inside but not on the outside, you're an innie. An outie is someone who yells, cries, complains, or is sarcastic. If you're an innie, you keep your disappointment to yourself most of the time. Being frank or shouting and letting people know how you feel will result in negative consequences. Over the years, you've learned to keep your anger under control and never to share it. Some people are neither innies nor outies, but rather keep their frustration and release it only when they're angry. It's crucial to determine when you're most likely to suppress your rage and when you're most likely to show it, rather than keeping it in or letting it out all the time. The aim is to show frustration in a healthy way. What makes people angry? There are a number of factors that can cause rage. Experts on TV, in newspapers, on the radio, and on the internet share a wide range of viewpoints. An interpretation that incorporates what most practitioners who research and treat rage agree on is what we'll start with. Rage is an emotional response to other people's actions. It comes from a perceived threat to one's physical protection, property, personal image, sense of justice, or rational desire for comfort, depending on where they are. People show their frustration in a variety of ways. We call it an immediate cause because something negative happens. It is possible that a friend has been gossiping about you. You immediately start yelling at the other person for how they behave when you're upset. This is referred to as a response pattern by psychologists. Your anger is triggered by your friend's gossip about you. The theory is too straightforward. It's also incorrect. The illusion that underpins this explanation is referred to as the big mistake. There are some causes of anger: education, consideration, the human condition, educating yourself, bad habits you've built over time because a lot of your anger. Despite the fact that there's still some immediate spark that gets you moving, you've spent a long time learning how to get angry. Learning is a term used by psychologists to explain how people learn. Learning by example entails seeing what happens to other people when they become enraged. People are more likely to imitate others' actions if they think those actions will produce positive results. Modeling angry behavior in parents, peers, or characters on TV, in movies or in video games will help you learn. There are several ways to think about indignation. You transform what you've learned about anger into personal laws, such as if people disrespect or talk about me, I'll become enraged and scream. That's who I am and what I do. Not all enraged conduct is a product of watching others. You have your own learning experiences. Reinforcement and punishment are part of the learning history. All of your actions have consequences, even if you don't realize it. You are more likely to replicate activity that results in a positive outcome. Asking strangers to be quiet should not become a habit. Reinforcements and penalties have an effect on your habits over time. When you're angry, the effects of your previous angry actions have a lot to do with how you behave. The rage may be caused by such forms of thought. You can misunderstand or exaggerate what others say. Inner issues can be turned into major issues. You may be inflexible and demanding in your beliefs. You are likely to believe the following when you are angry. You've been forgotten, neglected, or unfairly treated. Someone else has made a mistake. If the person enraged you, he or she should have behaved differently. The individual who made you angry should have behaved differently. It's possible that your assumptions about other people's actions are incorrect. It's possible that your friend is struggling with personal or family health issues. It's possible that the person who keeps putting you off is busy with work. Maybe your teenage daughter was late because she stopped at the mall to buy you a birthday present. She wouldn't want to tell you that and ruin the surprise. If you're like other people, you don't worry about how you feel when you're treated badly. It seems like your ideas come to you naturally. Over time, the assumptions can become skewed, unreliable, and exaggerated. Your thoughts are the source of your anger. Nature of human beings. Humans seem to be rage seems to be a natural part of human nature. The causes for angry and violent behavior of non-human animals are close to our own. Humans tend to be rage is a natural part of human nature. The causes for angry and violent behavior of non-human animals are close to our own. When other animals are mad, they do things to make themselves stronger, making their bodies appear larger, standing on their hind legs, hissing, growling, chewing, kicking, and scratching are all examples of these behaviors. Such conduct is very similar to ours. It's a warning to stay away from animals that growl. Our yelling is similar to their growling. Animals who stand tall and expand themselves indicate that they are too strong to be messed with. Waving a fist or leaning forward in a threatening stance are examples of this. For primitive humans, when they were attacked, they became enraged. Our resemblance to other species is limited to a proclivity or desire to behave violently. We have the ability to overcome impulses in humans who are often shaped by thought, reinforcements, friends, classes, and community. What is aggression? Exactly. Aggression and rage are often misconstrued. Anger is a feeling that is felt on the inside. Aggression can be seen by others. Throwing objects, kicking, shoving, punching, and bully are all forms of offensive behavior aimed at other people. It also includes deceptive, indirect behavior. Aggressive actions can vary from mild to extreme, depending on the situation. We don't mean that recognizing and examining violence isn't necessary when we say it's minor. Most of the time, disruptive actions aimed at another person are inappropriate. Different violent actions would have different negative effects. Being struck by a thrown pencil at school is not as serious as being punched in the chest. There is a factor of intent in aggression. To label your husband, wife, or child as aggressive, the action must have been done on purpose. We don't normally think of dentists or physical therapists as offensive. Their goal is to assist us. Intentional and accidental offences are treated differently. Intentional violence, such as plotting a murder, is prosecuted even more harshly than accidental aggression, such as when a person is injured in a car accident. Friend's deliberate bad behaviour is more important than his or her unintentional bad behaviour. Think about if the acts of those in your life were deliberate or not. Is it true that anger causes aggression? Aggression is often caused by frustration. Rage often occurs without provocation. Even if no one is upset, violent actions can happen. Hunters are violent in the sense that they want to kill livestock, but they are not enraged by those animals. Anger and aggression. You might think that anger and aggression are twins if you read the news. An angry employee assaults a boss after not getting a raise. A man beats his wife after an argument. Teenager shoots his teachers or friend after being rejected or mistaken. They are all examples of crimes of passion. The true image of the anger aggression relationship is distorted by these high-profile events. Some people believe that being angry makes it acceptable to be violent. Much of the violence we see and hear about on the news is linked to rage, which makes anger and aggression seem to occur together often. That is the exception rather than the law. About 10 of the time, deliberate physical violence accompanies frustration. The majority of the time, frustration happens on its own, and for most people, this is the real issue. This means that shouting, complaining, being sexually demeaning, frowning, being in a bad mood, or pouting are the only ways to express indignation 90s of the time. Aggression doesn't accompany rage, even when one person threatens another. The shouting and arguing are not accompanied by any physical acts. The importance of the relationship between rage and violence should not be ignored. When the arousal and physical excitement of anger is followed by thoughts of vengeance and violent behavior, it can lead to violence. Rage is a significant issue in and of itself, regardless of whether or not it is accompanied by violence. Aggression without anger, even if no one is upset, aggression and damage to other people can happen. In one incident, a teen threw a football overpass onto a vehicle, seriously injuring the driver. The teen had not been upset by the driver. He had no idea that his rash behavior had caused harm. As part of a scheme to defraud others, adolescents and adults can act aggressively, not out of anger. During the robbery, a thief can hurt the victim and force him or her to the ground. The attacker is not upset by the victim. The main aim is to steal. Is it natural for me to be angry? You may be wondering if your rage pattern is natural. One way to address this question is to consider if conditions in your life usually change when you become angry. Consider the strength and length of your frustration as another way to address the question. What is the strength of your rage? The rage we refer to as natural is mild to moderate intensity. The more vehement your anger, the more likely it is to cause problems. Major disruption in most people's lives is not caused by a mild irritation. How long does it take you to get angry? Some people ruminate for days, weeks or months about past injustices and poor treatment at the hands of others. People can't get on with their lives if they have long periods of anger. Remember when you were enraged. Have you ever wondered if your rage was too mild, too intense, or just right? Is your anger out of control? Is it excessively long? Anger can be beneficial at times, but you must assess your situation to determine if it is benefiting or harming you. Is it true that men become more angry than women? There is a question about the distinctions between men and women. Many people think men are more angry than women. Rage, on the other hand, tends to be a common experience between men and women, and the fact is that men and women are much more similar than they are different. Researchers have found that women are more likely to become frustrated than men. According to a large-scale study of scientific research performed by John Archer, women are marginally more likely than men to become frustrated and use physical violence. Since men are usually stronger when attacking women, they cause more harm. Both sexes feel and express their frustration in similar ways when they become angry at the same pace and for the same reasons. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're not alone. The tactics and skills in Chapter 4 will work for both men and women. Should you let your anger out or keep it inside? People ask us if it's easier to keep rage inside or let it out. That is not the correct question. Both methods can be counterproductive. It's not a good idea to keep frustration inside for long periods of time, and it's also not a good idea to show it violently. The aim is to keep frustration to a minimum and convey it thoughtfully in a way that leads to problem resolution. Is anger making other issues worse? There are a variety of mental, behavioral, and medical issues that can result from excessive rage. Substance abuse, anxiety, depression, family strife, and heart disease are some of the most prominent. You've probably noticed that when you're concerned about important life events, such as issues at work or school, or the actions of other family members, you are more likely to get angry. As your anxiety level increases, your frustration gets shorter. You become less tolerant of slight annoyances. You're more likely to get angry when you're nervous, uncomfortable, or threatened. The consequences of your indignation can cause unpleasant circumstances. Anger often produces new problems. Rage and fear can become vicious in this way. There is a relationship between sorrow and rage. When you're down in the dumps, you're more prone to angry outbursts. Some people feel depressed and helpless, while others respond aggressively to life's difficulties. In addition, acting out of frustration will result in losses and defeats. Depression can be caused by a person's inability to effectively cope with life's issues. Rage is often associated with drug abuse. If you want to ease the physical symptoms of rage, you can take tranquilizers or drink alcohol. Some people turn to street drugs to deal with their rage, which leads to more problems. As previously stated, chronic and extreme rage is linked to a variety of serious medical problems, including heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, and possibly diabetes. The connection between rage and these types of illnesses is often overlooked. Feelings of frustration are likely to have a negative effect on your physical health over time. These problems don't usually show up right away. They emerge after years of difficulty. Getting a grip on how you act when you're angry may be more important than you think. Changing your attitude when you're angry. Careful consideration and practice is required to change any habit, whether it's smoking, drinking, spending, or how you behave in a relationship. It's difficult to improve your actions and learn to control your frustration because of this. There is a fleeting sense of being right or in charge. The belief is that people are listening to you or will not judge you. Changing your reactions can be difficult. The instant gratifications do more than just keep your rage going. They make change difficult when they're coupled with your innate propensity to respond when challenged. With practice, you can develop your anger management skills and change for the better.